Good day, this is Teacher Cyrus and welcome back to my channel. So, welcome guys sa yung hindi pa nakapag-subscribe. So, don't forget to hit like and hit the bell button so that you will be notified in our next videos discussing about the educational learning theories. So, we will discuss about the principles of learning by Horne and Pine. So, bakit natin kailangang i-study or kailangan nating alamin kung ano ang principles of learning. So first, even though hindi siya lalabas sa exam, but the principles of learning can help us to determine kung ano ang mas tamang sagot when answering Prof. Ed. As we all know, the professional education is merely based on the questions, is based on the problems, and also the situations so during in the classroom setting. So that's why knowing or having an idea about the principles of learning can help us upang meron tayong pundasyon sa pagtitimbang-timbang kung ano ang tamang sagot so while answering sa professional education. So hindi na natin patatagalin pa. Let's start our discussion. So first is learning is an experience which occurred inside the learner and is activated by the learner. So kaya nga learner is the one who activates learning and the teacher is only the one who facilitate learning. So that's why before alam natin na teacher-centered learning before, hindi ba? So only the teacher was given the opportunity to speak and also to give ideas about a certain topic. So but today, it was changed to learner-centered theory. So I think because of principles of learning also, because learning is an experience so which occurs inside the learner. So kaya nga, in order for us to determine kung ano ang ways so in order for the students to learn so dapat i-accept natin ang kanilang experience kasi through experience so they can activate learning. So that is the first principle of learning. Here that no one directly teaches anyone or anything of significance. So kaya nga alam natin nga bakit ang estudyante is merong bias or merong favorite subjects that for example, araling panlipunan or social science is significant for them to learn and also because of the teachers who are fond with them, so especially ang teacher is open-minded to accept the ideas of the students, so not mocking them, so it engages students to be fun with that particular subject. So that's why teachers are, we teachers or educators are encouraged to be open-minded as always. So even though malayo na ang sagot ng ating estudyante, so dapat meron tayong way so to engage them na to participate more, not by discouraging them. That we need to give students an ideas or we need to encourage students na mahalin ang subject na ating ituturo. So for example, I'm a social studies major. So syempre, kapag magtuturo na ako sa public, so I will teach araling panlipunan. So kaya, in order for the students na ma-engage sa pag-study sa aking subject, so that's why I will give them significance. So I will give them reasons. So to make my subject, so araling panlipunan, significant to their lives. So that is number one. So learning is an experience which occurs inside the learner and are activated by the learner. So we are only facilitating learning. So hindi tayo magmamarunong na tayo ang center or we are the provider of learning. So but we are the one facilitate learning so upang mas magkaroon ng maraming schema or to have schema so na ma-attain ng ating estudyante. So second one is learning is the discovery of the personal learning and relevance of ideas. So that's why nga learning is a process which requires the exploration of ideas in relation to self and community. So second one is first is learning is an experience na ang learner lamang ang makapag-activate nito. So second one is learning is a discovery. So learning is then discovery. So alam naman natin, so during the election periods, no? So maraming biases na nangyayari. So merong page na mocking the Marcos family, and also there are channels that are praising the Marcos family. So ang branding ng ating paniniwala. So second one is learning is the discovery of the personal meaning and relevance of ideas. So that's why ang ibang tao is merong pagkakaiba. So that's why a learning is a discovery. So for example, if you're fond studying the Bible, so meaning discovering the truths inside the Bible is significant for you or is a big deal for you. So meron ding iba na they didn't give significant discoveries. So learning about truths that are written in the Bible or Quran. So learning is the discovery. So relevance of ideas. So kaya nga, merong different fields ang ating education, hindi ba? So merong education, merong law, merong tinatawag nating medicine, so merong nursing, so merong pharmacies, at marami pang iba. So because of learning is the discovery of the personal meaning and relevance of ideas. So the second one is learning is the discovery, ulit-ulit, of the relevance, meaning, and personal ideas. So meron tayong biases. So meron tayong goal sa ating life na I want that job. So hindi ba, so during our grade 1, so when we are in grade 1, so our teachers always ask us na anong gusto nating kurso, so ano ang gusto nating profesyon, so anong gusto nating tapusin sa kolehiyo, so anong particular na kurso, hindi ba? So that is number 3. So learning is the discovery of the personal meaning and relevance of ideas. So karamihan is doktor. So because kadalasan sa mga bata is they are fond of being doctor because they want to help or they want to heal others. So using their expertise in medicine. So that's why na learning is the discovery of the personal meaning and the relevance of ideas is part of that. So the best example for this, if we will ating isali ang social science sa pangalawang principle is natawag nating archaeology. So digging materials in order to have information of a certain civilization, community, or a country. So that is learning is the discovery of the personal meaning and relevance of ideas. And also, it requires exploration of ideas. Kaya nga, so during our elementary and high school times, so we are exposed in different things, hindi ba? So meron tayong science subject, so meron chemistry, so meron mathematics, meron English, meron cooking sa PLE, electricity, at marami pang iba. So in order for us to explore different ideas kung ano ang gusto nating matamo sa ating buhay, so during high school. So that is the second principles of learning. So learning is the discovery of the personal meaning and relevance of ideas. So we will move to the third one. So learning is a consequence of experience. That is behavioral change. So for example, merong isang tao na mahilig manlait sa Facebook. So kanyang he or she will mention the certain person in Facebook, mocking or insulting them. So, but bigla siyang nagbago. So, he changed or she changed. So because of kinasuhan siya ng cyber libel because of insulting and mocking others in social media. So remember the law of cyber libel. Merong behavioral change based on his or her experience. So that is the third principle. So learning is a consequence of experience. So merong iba na, so for example, so he or she invent something. So meron gagawa siya ng a ring light. So pumutok ang ring light because maliit lamang na wires ang kanyang ginamit. So that's why through the charge of experience, so he changed the wires so into bigger one. So upang merong anong Bisaya na makadaog. So makadaog sa kuryente. So that is behavioral change. So merong behavioral change so based on experience of the certain person. So the fourth one is learning is a cooperative and collaborative process. So cooperation fosters learning. So two heads are better than one. So kaya nga, so during our classes, hindi ba, merong ipapagawa si teacher, especially in high school. Kasi, alam naman natin na naranasan nyo rin yan, maging guro. So, especially during our practice teaching times. So, we group students and then we give them different themes or ideas so that imomold nila kung certain na topic na ibibigay sa kanilang grupo. So, two heads are better than one. So, especially in Araling Panlipunan, so because that is my major, so we use role-playing. So, in order for the students to be encouraged, so hindi sila aantukin. So, during our discussion, so instead of discussing in front, so we are encouraging students to have reenactment so about the certain events in history. So mas matututo sila if marami sila. So because they will make scripts about that. So syempre pag-aaralan nila ang certain event and also when portraying it in front, so mas matututo so ang uh, nakakarinig. So if we will use our senses, especially eyes and mouth and ears, so mas matututo tayo. So unlike we are only hearing the things na ibibigay or spoon-feed ng teacher. So that's why learning is a cooperative and collaborative process because of bawat isa sa atin is merong idea. So in order to create a perfect schema. So kaya nga, so during our, especially sa mga nanonood na self-review, so I encourage you na magkaroon ng group study. So even if once a week, so you will discuss certain topics. So yun ang ginawa namin. So in order na so hindi ka maboboard sa pag-aaral ng mag-isa. So preparing the board exam. So mas merong oras na makipag-usap or magkaroon ng deliberation so with your classmates. So if you cannot afford to attend review centers, so encourage you to have a group study. So magbibigay kayo na ito yung certain topic na i-discuss mo during our group study. So during my time, so nagkaroon kami ng group study with my peers, so aking close friends. So upang mas magkaroon ng ideas so while studying or reviewing. Kasi there are times na may alam sila and then hindi mo alam. So kaya during discussions or group study, so may matutunan ka sa kanila, so meron ka rin mai-share sa iba. So that kasi napansin ko na the more you share your knowledge or the more you explain your knowledge, so your learnings, So based on your daily self-review, so that's why learning is a cooperative and collaborative process. So that's why I encourage you, so wag madamot sa natutunan, wag madamot sa learning, wag madamot sa review materials kasi the more you share, the more you learn. Instead na mag-self-review ka buong linggo, so have one day na having group study, so discussing about the lessons na iyong natutunan so during the self-review. So because the more you share, so mas matutunan, mas marami kang matutunan kasi kung meron kang gustong i-share sa iba na natutunan mo, so the more na mag-aaral ka, especially if the topic you shared so during group study is hindi alam ng iyong kaibigan. So, kasali sa iyong group study. So, kaya better to share the knowledge you've learned. So, because the more you share, the more you learn. So, it's better to give than to receive, hindi ba? So, next one is learning is an evolutionary process. So, kaya nga, during this time, we use in CBTS. So, but next year, so the board exam in March 2023, they will be using TOS. Kasi the graduates, so from K to 12 is they've used TOS. So, unlike sa NCBTS, well, ang TOS is table of specifications. So, wag malala kasi NCBTS and TOS are the same, but meron lang iniba. So, meron kaunting changes sa kanila. So, that's why learning is an evolutionary process. Kaya nga, merong maraming theories in education kasi understudy pa. So, merong principles, kagaya ng principles of learning. So, principles na talaga ito. Hindi ito pwedeng ma-change, but pwede itong ma-innovate or mas mabigyan ng magandang example or magandang strategies. So, in order for the learners to easily cope up with the lesson. So, especially marami ang principles of learning. So, like, siyam kabuok. So, kaya, marami-rami rin. So, learning is sometimes a painful process. So, kasi, merong instances talaga na papagalitan ka ng learning. So, mayroong mapapagalitan ka ng certain topics. So, kaya, so I encourage you to be open-minded. Kasi, if hindi ka marunong tumanggap sa kamalian mo, especially so the way you execute learning. So, when I was in high school, so I always like to memorize. So, hindi ko pag-aaralan, hindi ko intindihin kung anong ibig sabihin nito na ganyan. So, but I will just memorize sa kanyang meaning. So, kasi during exam, so teachers kadala so oftentimes teachers use meaning so in making questions. So, what part of the ear catches the sound from the surrounding? So, that is pina. So, I memorized it when I was in grade 3. Pina catches from the sound of the surrounding. So, kaya, sometimes it's a painful process. Kasi, when I was in third year college, so I think principles of learning yata ang subject. So, it states there that memorization is not learning. So, hindi raw learning ang memorization. So, na-insulto ako. So, because I often use memorization. So, i-memorize ko ang meaning. So, in order for me to answer during exams. But, when I scan about it, so it was discussed there na kasi memorization is not considered as learning kasi tinatawag itong short term lang. So, malaking instances na after 2 weeks or 3 weeks is makakalimutan mo na yung the things you've memorized. So, in order to have a better score during exams. But instead of memorizing, it is better to understand a certain topic. So, for you to have long-term, um, let's say, schema. So, meron kang building blocks of knowledge. So, kasi memorization, hindi yan masasali sa building blocks of knowledge. Because your only goal in memorization is not learning itself, but for you to have a better score so while taking the exam. So, that's why memorization is not considered part of learning process. So, that's why during exams, so meron tayong tinatawag na tradisyon sa ating pag-aaral. So karamihan, especially educators mismo, is they are fond on memorizing things. So kaya nga, so during board exam, so kinakabahan ka while taking it, so nakalimutan mo yung na-memorize mo. So kahit gaano ka pa um, kagaling mag-memorize, kaya mong i-memorize ang 10 libro, but if you are, let's just say, pressured, so if you are, ikulbaan ka, you are nervous, so it will result na mental block. So you forget, malaking instance na makalimutan mo yung na-memorize mo. So that's why it is better to understand things, especially in professional education. So because I will give you hints on the questions of professional education. So during actual board exam, so it is not about meaning. So it is about how you will apply the things you've learned about professional education, assessment of learning, principles of learning, so assessment of learning, so teaching strategies in social studies, etc., etc. So kaya, um, learning is sometimes a painful process. So that's why when you study or when you scan your books, so be open-minded. So let's accept things that are considered an insult of our way of learning. So next one is one of the richest resources for learning is the learner itself. So kaya nga, if you will scan about my previous videos about my tips on how to pass the board exam, so I encourage everyone, do not study if you are not motivated to study. So kasi kapag pipilitin mo ang sarili mo mag-study if wala kang gana, so ibig sabihin, so kahit 10 oras ka pa mag-aral, if you are not in good condition, so hindi mo talaga matatamo ang learning. So that's why I encourage everyone so to study. So if you are motivated to study, don't study if your mind don't want you to study. So kasi masasayang lang ang oras mo. Instead, Google mong orasin mo to have a peace in mind. So ginugol mo sa pag-aaral kahit hindi kondisyon ang iyong isip na mag-aral. So sayang lang ang oras. So but I encourage you to motivate yourself to study. So always think about your goal na makapasa sa board exam so that you will be motivated to study. So encourage you, don't overstudy. So, 3 hours lang study. So hindi anong tawag dito? So hindi continuous ang study kasi if you will study 9 hours straight, so it will affect your nerve cells. So kasi hindi robot ang otak natin. So kailangan rin magpahinga. So that's why if you will study for 3 hours, have refresh your mind for about 30 minutes, 1 hour. So, lumabas ka, humagap ng preskong hangin. So, look at the beautiful sceneries around you. So, tsaka ka babalik. And also, if you don't have peace in mind, so study the Bible or study spiritual books so that um, to give you peace in mind, which is very important. So, while studying. Next one is the process of learning is emotional as well as intellectual. So, that's why kaya nga sinabi ko nga, don't study if you are not motivated to study. So because that is part of emotional process. So that's why emotions. So kapag magagalit ka, so meron kayong break up sa iyong boyfriend or girlfriend, and then mag-aaral ka sa board exam. So syempre walang um, maapektuhan ang pag-aaral mo. So kaya nga, so I have a joke so during my previous videos na if you want to pass the board exam, so isulat mo na lang yung mga kasalanan na gawa ng iyong partner at pag-awayan yung pagtapos nyo mag-take ng exam. So the process of learning is emotional. If feelings and thoughts are in harmony, learning is maximized. So kaya nga, if you have peace in mind while studying, so malayo sa problema, malayo sa away, so your learning will be maximized. Last one, the process of problem solving and learning are highly unique and individual. So each person has its own unique styles of learning and solving process. So meron akong classmate na mas matuto siyang he easily catch up things kung um, noise merong noise sa paligid niya or tinatawag nating saba in Cebuano. So, meron ring iba, so hindi matututo sa pag-aaral if maingay. So, merong iba matututo, so they can easily catch up if they will listen music. So, meron ding iba na iba't iba ang process natin sa pagsagap ng learning. So wag gayahin ang ways of teaching na hindi fitted sa iyo. So that is our lesson, principles of learning by Horne and Pine. So I do hope that you learned something about our video. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you will be updated to our future videos. This is Teacher Cyrus and thanks for watching. God bless us all.